I don't know how long people can take the self-quarantine and the lockdowns. And again, it varies for everybody. So in my situation, my husband and I were, like I said earlier, we're able to fly, to different states. In this current season, we had to worry and pray about, well, is this going to be a move that will be judged by family and friends? And we definitely have been judged for this action. Like, oh wow, like, how dare you fly around and infect everything around you? We're exercising kind of a rare freedom that not many people have, and then kind of getting judged low key mostly. I'm curious, have you done something that merited the judgment, maybe marriages that has been judged by friends and family? Or have you judged a friend or family or just a stranger in person or on social media?
Well, let me pull up my list of grievances here, right there. No.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll give you one really quick story. I was actually walking home from Whole Foods yesterday, and this woman, kind of like Dave's story, was going super slow in front of me. I caught up to her and her dog walking on the sidewalk, and so I decided to walk around them and proceed because she had stopped right between a car and the sidewalk. So I was like, okay, well, I gotta get around you. And so I literally just walked around her, and I was about 20 feet in front of her, and she starts yelling at me. She's like, hey, what do you think you're doing? Bleep, bleep, bleep. And I'm like, I didn't even turn around. I didn't acknowledge it. And she said, there's a whole other sidewalk. What are you doing? And she just had it at me, and I just kept walking. But to push judgment on other people, I think, is a reaction to the fear that we can have within us. And so just calming that internal, dealing with your internal before you actually project is very, very important at this point in time, because we're all kind of feeling a little antsy, a little on edge. So check your heart before you speak.
It's so important, Mattea, because a lot of things could be emanating from inside, like your own fears, right? Like you said, projection. Yeah. But then I think there's also an aspect of like policing each other. Like, this person, like, it's almost like, it occurred to me, it's like a new form of virtue signaling.
Yes.
It's just like, what is going on? Like, even conservatives, like, we're not that it's completely on the left, but virtue signaling is something that both sides or all sides or all kinds of sides can do in their own ways. Yeah. And so, like, for example, like even the lexicon that has been formed through this time, social distancing, quarantine, like things that are usual now, masks, that's an everyday object that is now every man's or every woman's must have now. And if you're not using these terminology, then you're not updated. So it's kind of like interesting things that's going on right now. And so kind of curious about whether it's like stemming from internal or a form of virtue signaling. How else have, like, Dave and Monica, how else have you seen it or been judged for it or judged other people for it?
Well, in my case, I actually noticed, for example, the gloves that people wear. Like, at one point, they were all over the parking lots, which I mean, come on.
That's right.
We want to care for our hygiene, but how about let's be cautious and let's be mindful and not throw our gloves around.
That makes sense.
So in that sense, I was like, just observing that. And then I also noticed, like, people can have like their mask and their glove and they go about touching stuff, and then later on they rub their eyes with a glove that they are using. So I went through that whole, like, okay, if you will be cleaning chicken with those gloves, would you be rubbing your face with that? So I have thought about that. And then I had a situation at the grocery store. I went to buy things for the week or why not, and there was this teenager that came by, and she came and she's like, hi, and she came and hugged me. And then after that she realized, like, oh, kind of like what I have done. And I'm like, I'm okay. Like, if you are okay with hugging me, I'm okay with you hugging me. Like, I don't worry about that. If you don't want to hug me, that is okay too. And she's like, I wanted to hug you. Thank you for not like yelling at me. And I'm like, it's okay. And later on, I had situations where there was a mom that came to drop some vegetables or why not. And she looked at me and she wanted to hug me. And then she was like kind of like, I don't know what to do.
Restraining herself.
Yeah. And I told her, it's up to you. If you really want to hug me, you can hug me. If you don't want to, that is okay. I'm leaving that to your discretion. I will be okay with whether you do it or not. And then she came and hugged me. And she's like, I needed to hug someone. I'm like, it's okay. Don't worry. I'm glad you hugged me. So at those two interactions, I didn't have fear. I felt freedom. And I don't know if others were to judge me because of that. And if that were to be the case, that is okay.
Yeah, one of the things that we've seen is, you know, the Nextdoor app. People are on there freaking out because a lot of people in our subdivision go for walks, and it's always been like that. It's we're not in the city. We're just outside the city. There's a city to city to city to city to city walking path that goes along a river that's just to the north of the subdivision, and everyone uses it. A lot of people walk and ride bikes and stuff throughout our neighborhood all the time. But now people on the app are judging others because, you know, how dare you take a walk and you don't have your mask on? Well, there's no one around me. Why does it matter? And that's really the only thing that I've experienced. I went to the store yesterday and, oh my gosh, I forgot my mask, and I thought, oh gosh, do I go back home? I'm like 20 minutes away. Do I go back home and get my mask? I'll just go. And I felt like I was self-judging myself. No one, I didn't catch anyone, you know, looking at me and giving me the Merzamie look. But I was definitely self-judging myself. You know, how could I be so dumb in coming and not having my mask? You know, again, it's a matter of being aware about things that we've known, but yet we've now hypersensitized ourselves about these different issues.
That's fascinating. At first, I think the conversation was something like, wear a mask to protect yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And then now it's wear a mask or else you hate humanity and you want everyone to die around you, especially, you know, the elderly and the people with compromised immune system. Like, do your part to save humanity. So it's a little bit interesting, and I'm wanting to hear more about like how the discourse is changing and to what effects, because that is a fascinating thing of almost like another. I see it. I'm suspicious of it becoming like a social justice type thing. You know,
it will absolutely become that. It'll absolutely become that. And at the White House press conference, it was either yesterday or the day before, Dr. Fauci, it was the day before, Dr. Fauci actually said the reason I wear my mask, and then it was every speaker who came up, you know, pulled out their unique mask, whatever. But he said the reason I wear my mask is not to protect you from me, it's to protect me from you. And I was like, oh, seriously? Thank you. Thanks a lot for that. Now you have done exactly, you know, what Merzamie, what you've said. That is now going to become one of the new social justice mantras. You know, wearing the mask. You're hating humanity. You're hating me. You're out to get me. And I was like, you know, that's how bizarre and ridiculous. I wear a mask when I do woodwork to protect me. To protect the sawdust and the fumes of the chemicals from getting into me. It's not the other way around, and I'm you know, it will obviously help, but That's bizarre to me.
I think it can be used whether whatever way you spin it, just because people will use it. But like Mattea said earlier, you know, if there's a crisis, it's an opportunity in the eyes of many people.
Absolutely.
It's really fascinating.